everybody, welcome to our YouTube channel. My name's Melanie Newman and we have Trey with us today. I'm just going to make sure the sound is perfect. So let me know if you guys can hear me or not. And I think I've got a bit of feedback going on. Okay, I've got the thumbs up, so we're all good. So every Friday we are going to do a live grooming session because Fridays is my grooming session. So this is when I have my clients come in, or I groom my own dogs, or I groom our kennels show dogs. So this is my day of pure grooming. So I thought that every Friday I will do a live with you. So whether it's up in this studio or down in my salon, I tend to groom in different parts of our place. So wherever that will be, I will be live every Friday at 10 a.m. and that's Australian Eastern Standard Time. And I think we go into daylight savings soon. So for you guys up in Queensland, remember that I'm down in Melbourne, so there's that hour difference, which can be a lot sometimes. But so today we are going to talk about the importance of brushing your dog after you bath and dry your dog. Oh, thank you everybody for the yes and the thumbs up. I appreciate it so much. So I started to think about what people tend to have problems with when they groom their dogs at home, or you might be in the salon, or you might be starting out as a groomer. And prep is one of the major importance of grooming. So if we don't brush our dogs out properly, what can actually happen is it can cause more knots and tangles, dirt and debris can get stuck in the coat. And when we bath our dogs, so when we shampoo, so I've shampooed Trey twice in our Relax collection, and I've conditioned him once. Now, I've been away overseas, so he's had a good time with his brothers and his sister, and he was pretty grubby. Now, he does have a lot of hair on him, so when I shampooed him, I really got in there and massaged the shampoo in. And then I conditioned him really well, and I left the conditioner on for a good 3 minutes while I just worked it through his coat. And then I've towel dried him, and then I've used the high velocity dryer on his coat. So I've really separated his coat when I've gone through with the high velocity dryer. Now, I do have quite a few videos on drying and using the high velocity dryer and how to use it correctly, because on a longer coat you can actually cause whip knots. So, and it can tangle the long bits of the hair. So that's something that you guys might want to watch. And when I'm done, I'll put the link down below so you guys can refer back to that as well. But things that I wanted to go through was when we don't brush our dog correctly after the bath, because what the bath can do is make the tangles and the little knots worse by the hair will get tighter and tighter as the shampoo is in the coat. So if we don't brush them out after the bath, so after the drying process, it can actually make those knots worse over the next coming days. So what I'm going to do is, Trey is a miniature poodle, so we're going to talk about our curly coats today. So whether you've got a poodle, a bichon, or you might have a poodle cross, a cavoodle, you might have a spoodle, a labradoodle, we've still got a bit of that poodle coat in there. So Trey's coat is a little bit more open when we look at his coat. So the curls aren't really close together. So a closed coat is when the curls are really close together and the coat is really dense. Traj's coat is a lot more open, so the coat's a lot more separated. So for me, that's a little bit easier. And I don't know if you guys can see that on the close-up. I don't know, I'll see if you guys can see. It's not a tight curl, it's quite a loose curl in his coat. Now, if you have any questions along the way, definitely let me know. But I'm going to switch around the front in a minute. Now, today I'm going to be using our universal slicker. So that's our universal. It's a medium pin slicker and it's a firm slicker. So when we talk about slickers, we talk about soft, medium and firm. This is quite a firm slicker when we move the pins. Then on his more delicate areas, I'm going to use his, it's got some of Dash's hair in it. I'm going to be using the protective pin slicker. So the areas that I might use them on is like face, if the dog has sensitive ears, if a dog has any broken skin, like one of my older dogs, she had Cushing's, so her skin was a lot more delicate, so I used a protective pin on her. So those delicate areas, if your dog doesn't like its tail being brushed, that's good for that. I'm also going to be using our wide pin comb. Now these are currently sold out, so I'll just confirm that, Cor. Yep, currently sold out. So we're getting more in because they were really popular, and they are our wide tooth comb. So don't stress out, we will be getting more in because they sold out pretty quick. And I will be using our fine tooth comb as well. So that's one of our gold ones. So I'm going to first prep our table. So Traj tends to move around a bit. You wouldn't know it, right? But he tends to move around a little bit on the table. So I know I've got a mat on the table as well, but it does slip a bit. So I like to place a towel for him on the table. So it just gives him a little bit more grip. Okay. And then pop his little grooming loop on. Now Traj will do anything to get out of being brushed. So he'll like to sit, lay, move, tuck his legs under himself. Okay. So let's go to our close-up camera. Okay, so we're all set. Okay, so I'm using our Relax Coat Conditioning Spray. So this adds hydration to the coat while we're brushing. I've used it already in his coat when I was drying him, so just to add more hydration. But now I'm going to add more. So I'm going to start with his legs and then move towards his body and then his head. So just spraying his little leg first. Now he hates his front legs being groomed. So I like to do them first. I like to do the hard areas first and then move to the easy areas. Yeah, definitely a towel. And it's nice and comfortable for him, and it helps give him a little bit of grip. So we're going to do our first section. So we're actually going to be line brushing through his coat. So using our universal slicker, we're just going to do sections at a time. And I really try and brush both ways. and then move to our next section. And when we look at our curly-coated dogs, especially our poodles, people don't realise, but they still shed a little bit. So they don't shed like your working dogs and your Arctic breeds, but they still shed. So of course this hair, his guard hair, is going to continue to grow and grow if it's not cut. But he does have undercoat in there, and it's a slight undercoat, and that needs to be removed as well. So he's already starting to get a little bit annoyed with me because I'm brushing his front legs. And I like to support their elbows. Now his other leg, he does have a little bit of arthritis in his elbow. So I really have to support that leg when I brush it and make sure that I'm not going to hurt his little bones. And then when we brush, we're moving out slightly. So we're not going up on the side of him, we're coming out in front. So this is just his natural movement. He's doing pretty well. Good boy. And we're just doing small strokes and really stretching out that skin. Sorry, not that skin, that coat. Watching out for the skin. And other problems that can occur when we're using, especially our universal slicker, is brush burn. So once we've done one area and it feels free and smooth as we go through his coat, we need to move to that next area. Good boy. See how he tries to lean into the brush? That's pretty common with dogs that don't really like to be brushed. But I'm just gently going through it. And we can feel when we're going through with the slicker, as I'm using the slicker, I can feel where the knots are. So there's still a few knots in this area here, because as I go through, I can feel the tension through the brush. So we really need to listen to the brush and feel the brush as we're going through his coat. Good boy. So he's doing pretty well. Good boy. And then just to his elbow. And I like to try and keep my wrist nice and straight so I'm not flicking as I'm going through. Oh, TC Bear from Maryland. Thank you for joining us. What time is it there? And then underneath our armpit. So this is an area where people tend to miss. So give a good spray of the coat conditioning spray. And again, I'm not lifting his leg so it's uncomfortable. It's nice and comfortable. So when I gently move it out and up a little bit, but I'm getting right underneath that area, his little armpit. And around, so around his little belly. Oh, yep, see, you don't like it, do you, buddy? Good boy, good boy. He's looking at me in disgust. So let me know in the comments what breed of dog you guys have. Okay, so once I've done one area, and when the slicker feels smooth to go through, I'm going to use my wide tooth comb and gently go through that leg. Now once a wide tooth comb goes through, come on Trey, up you get, buddy. Once a wide tooth goes through, we can then check if the fine tooth comb goes through. And the fine tooth comb is used to lift the coat and to create air under the coat and create separation. So we would never use a comb to demat or remove knots and tangles. So if we move to his back leg, give it a good spray. And move to this side so you guys can see. Yep, perfect. Now I'm going to do the same technique. So start with the bottom. And if your dog doesn't like to be brushed, you could do like one leg a day. And then just gently go through. If you feel like you need a little bit more spray, definitely add the spray. I hope you guys can see this okay. Is it clear? And then just gently working through. And I like to support their knee. So when I'm holding that back leg, I'm actually holding around the knee and I'm not lifting his leg over his back. So he's nice and comfortable. And then gently going up and down. And don't forget about the insides of the back leg. So you can gently maneuver the back leg so it straightens out and then come in and inside the back leg. Now, if this is a sensitive area, use your protective pin slicker. There we go, because the insides of our back legs can be, the skin can be a lot more sensitive. And then just working through gently. And I think there's a difference between a dog being uncomfortable and it being painful compared to just not enjoying the process. Now, he's not a dog that's enjoyed the grooming process, but he's comfortable and nothing's hurting him, so he can put up with it. So if your dog does have arthritis, it can be a little bit more challenging, and especially brushing those legs, and I'll show you with Trey's other leg, his other front leg, because he does have that arthritis in his elbow. He's got a bit of a thickening of the bone there. And then just work through the other. Now, I want you guys to really think about your technique as you're going through the coat and really try and separate the coat and brush down to the base of the coat. A black toy poodle. Oh, beautiful. Got a black toy as well. My toy poodle's name's Kiki. Nothing better than a poodle. Maybe a Bichon. Thursday, 9 p.m. Nice. Well, I hope you're brushing your poodle the same time and we're grooming the same. And then as I'm going through the hair on his knee, I'm actually just holding the hair, just making sure that I'm not brushing that skin and just working through that coat. And once your technique's good, you can speed up, but until you get your technique right, just take slow and steady. So Oh, Heather, you've in Torquay and you've got a silver standard. Nice. It would be a bit windy there at the moment, I imagine. Torquay is such a beautiful place in Victoria. Very lucky, Heather, to live there. So I'm just using our wide tooth comb, and the wide tooth is going through. Now I've hit a bit of a knot here. I don't like to tease out knots with a comb because that can be quite uncomfortable. So once I hit a knot, I remove the comb, spritz that area, and then just gently go back through it. And really listen to the slicker and feel the slicker through your arm. And you can feel when it runs through nice and smooth. There we go. Good boy, buddy. And then we're going to line brush through the rest of his coat on this side. And we can see how we're going right down to the base of his coat. Okay, move up, buddy. You're okay. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys what's in the slicker. Now this is all dead hair that I've removed from those two legs. Now this dead hair can actually cause more knots and tangles if it's left in the coat. And you can see it's a different colour, so it's a little bit of undercoat in there and a little bit of dead hair. So the dead hair, if the undercoat's dead and the guard coat's dead as well, it actually goes a lighter colour because there's no blood supply left to the hair. So then the hair is ready to be released from the hair follicle, and we don't want that getting caught up in the other coat. So this is the importance of brushing. And when it's kept in our slicker and we're brushing through, it can actually feel like there's more knots and tangles through the coat than there probably is in the coat because it snags on that healthy hair. So just gently going through that coat. Okay. So that's one side done. That's pretty easy. Okay, so let's look at his little tail. Good boy. Good boy. So he's not a fan of his tail being brushed at all. So I'm using our protective pin slicker and I'm brushing outwards. So away from the skin. And I'm not brushing up, I'm brushing out and down. So away from the skin and with the direction of the hair growth. And just brushing small sections at a time. Now, because he's super sensitive around his tail, now he's always hated his tail being brushed since he was a baby. I will only do small sections. So I'm not getting the tail and going like this through. Very gently brushing small sections. Nice and easy. So this is just the other side of his tail. And protecting that tip as well is really super important. I use a pin brush first and then a slicker last comb. Yeah, depending on the coat, he doesn't have, his hair's not that long, so I'm happy to use a slicker on it. But if he was in show coat, I would definitely use a pin brush because it will help grow coat and save the coat from breaking. So there's his tail, and when we comb through it, I always like to protect the actual tail bone. So always holding that tip and protecting it, because the tip can actually get caught in the little teeth of our combs. See, and even though he hates his tail being done, it's all done. Okay, so we'll move on to his little ear. Now this is an example of the shampoo knotting up his ear with the dryer. So we can see how tight that knot is. I'm just using the coat conditioning spray and really making sure it gets into that knot. Just add hydration and prevents breakage. So I'm just going to move and pull that knot apart and just comb sections at a time. So let me just move him. This way so you guys can see. Now we can see how big that knot is through there. Now I also have a new puppy, so pretty sure the puppy's been hanging off Traj's ears as well. So let's go through with the first section. So I've sprayed it, and now I'm just going through. Oh, Georgia. Hi, Amber. Beautiful, thank you for joining us. So that's the first section done. So let's move to our second section. And if you feel like it's a bit dry as you go through with your slicker, definitely give it another spritz of a coat conditioning spray or a detangling spray, and then just work through. Oh, yep. TC Bear, you start with the ears first. Fair enough. Everybody has their routine. I always do legs, body, head last. And I suppose as a groomer, I do everything in routine so I don't forget anything, and then the dog gets used to the routine as well. Oh, Piersta. Oh, hi, Anne. Anne has the most beautiful Cocker Spaniels, English Cocker Spaniels. I love her Cockers. So in those big knots and tangles are nearly removed. When I put the comb through, there's still one there. So I'm not going to rip that through. I'm going to use my slicker again and gently work through to remove it. And then, yeah, it's moving down. Yep, it's completely removed. So that's nearly half of his ear done. So let's separate some more. And you can use the end of the comb as well to help separate that hair. To brush. I love brushing out dogs. There's nothing more satisfying, especially your own dogs. It's great having a clean, freshly groomed dog. Oh, 4 standards. What colour standards, Ember? That would be a lot of work. And then this one. And then we've got our last section. So gently working through, and don't forget about the inside as well. And you'll notice I'm not flicking as I go through with the slicker. Nice straight wrist and ever so gentle. So I'm firm, but not aggressively firm. So there's still a little bit of a knot on the inside. So if I flip that ear over, now Trey is prone to ear infections, so I have to be really gentle when I brush out the insides of that ear. So those little hairs, so I like to protect it with my thumb and then just go through. So that feels good now. And I feel like he's got a little bit of a dreadlock on this side here, so might just remove it with my fingers. And there it is. There. And then just brush that through. His ear feels good because there was a lot of knots in there. So our wide tooth comb and then our fine tooth. So nicely separates. And don't forget the insides. And be careful of our inner ear as well. Good boy. Okay, so let's just talk about our muzzle while we're finishing off. Sit down, buddy. Okay, so remember earlier I spoke about the hair in the slicker. I'm just going to remove that and we can see the different colour hair. Now my monitor I can't see, so I hope you guys can see. So with the hair on his muzzle, I'm going to use my protective pin slicker. So I'm just going to remove that hair. There it is. And if your dog will not let you spray towards his face along the side, you can spray your slicker. So just spritz the slicker or the comb and then just gently work through the muzzle. And always support your dog with the chin hair, because this is a good way of feeling if you're brushing around the muzzle area or you're trimming your dog's eyes or clipping your poodle face, anything around the head. If your dog moves quickly, you're able to then remove the tool you're using, whether that's a slicker, a comb, scissors, clippers. As soon as he moves, I can remove the tool. But he tends to sort of put his head down a lot, so I'm always sort of lifting. And then his other side with our protective pin slicker. Always supporting his little head. Good boy. Okay, so let's just check his muzzle. It's all good. A white male, black female. And I didn't see the other one because it's off again. Okay, so that's all brushed out. So I just wanted to quickly, before I go, talk about if dogs have arthritis in their joints. Now, Traj's isn't too bad, but he does have a little bit of thickening around his elbow. So I have to be super careful. Oh, she does 2 at a time, never all at the same time. And 3 girls. Yeah, it can be a lot to groom all your dogs in one day, but 2 at a time, that's pretty good. Okay, so I would do the same. So we're just going to go through his leg with the slicker. And then just going through. See how he's pulling away because he knows that it is super uncomfortable. So then I'm lighter with my technique, so with my brushing. Good boy. Now, I know where his arthritis is, so it is in his elbow, so this is where I need to be super careful. So I like to just brush him where he's comfortable, whereas his other legs, I'm happy for him to stand where I need him to stand. But when it's this leg with the arthritis in it, I'm always careful and mindful about where he's most comfortable. So just gently going through with the slicker. Because what we don't want our dog to be sore after the grooming process, and I don't want him to be sort of limping and feeling too uncomfortable. So stand up. There we go. Good boy. So being very gentle and being very mindful when I move that leg around that joint. Good boy. And still supporting. So when I come under his elbow, so his armpit, he's actually resting his head on my hand, which is supporting his leg. So very, very gentle. I can't see the screen. There we go. So he feels good now. Good boy. There we go. And then the back of his elbow. So again, he's pretty comfortable there. We're just gently going through. So it can be a different technique to what you would do with the other legs. Okay, so he feels pretty good. Okay, so he feels pretty good. I'm going to continue to brush him. So I hope this really helps you guys. I'm going to put all the equipment that I've used in the comments below, so you'll understand the type of slicker I'm using, and you'll understand the type of combs that I'm using as well, because you've probably got similar ones that you're using yourself. And if you have any other questions, definitely pop them in the comments below and I'll answer them straight away. So next week I have, what do I have in next week? So it's Elfie and Bentley, so I'll groom one of those guys. Now they're featured on our YouTube channel quite a bit. So one's a toy poodle and one's a miniature poodle, and they're both brown. So they're both delightful little boys. So I'll continue my day grooming. So I've got a few other dogs to do throughout my day. I really hope this helps you guys with your brushing technique, because like I said earlier, prep is one of the major things when it comes to grooming, because it prepares the coat for what we're doing after the brushing. So whether it's your dog not getting clipped and it's just a maintenance bath, it helps prepare the dog for when it goes outside, and it's easy to brush out any debris, so any dirt, any leaves, anything that the dog's been playing with, as well as if we're clipping or scissoring the dog. So preparation is key. Okay, so I'll leave it there, and until next time, guys, happy grooming, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye, guys.